This is Men's Sacred Liberation Podcast, a place for the men of Charlotte to share their honest experiences about life. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Men's Sacred Liberation. My name is Brian Straheen, and I'm a clinical therapist in Charlotte in private practice, where I focus on men through the lens of holistic health and wellness. And I'm here today with my special guest, Morathi Howie. Morathi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, Brian. I appreciate that.
Pleasure. It's an honor to have you. Let's get right into it, Morathi. What lights your soul up?
Brian, that's a big question. However, I can bring it to you in oneness.
Okay.
I've been an example for my community of health and wellness for a very long time, since social media first came into play, Facebook basically. And what lights my soul up is being able to help my community to become more healthier, to become a more better version of themselves. And I believe that they become a better version of themselves once they change what they're putting on their plates. Because there are so many different foods out here, what they call food, that alters the mind and alters how people think. And once they learn what those foods are and they remove those foods, mentally they start to feel better. Because foods control, if you're putting certain foods in your body, it's controlling the nerve endings that send the signal to the brain. So I believe that if your nerve endings, if I hit my toe on the table, it's going to send what? A signal of pain to the brain, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're putting healthy foods in your system, it's sending a signal to the brain of healthiness. You feel better. You know, when you have a lot of pain in your body, it's hard to have good mental days. I can't separate mental and physical health. I think that they both coincide, right?
Yes.
So once you change what you're eating, your lifestyle, everything else falls in line for you.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, and one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have you on the show, because when you say community, and I want to be clear to our listeners, you're talking about Charlotte. You live here in Charlotte.
Yes,
and we'll
from Concord, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, in Charlotte.
Right.
Yes.
So you are a local man here, living and working, and with that, I know that that there is a connection between our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health, our spiritual health. They're all interconnected.
That's right.
Which is why I share with people that I see people through this lens of holistic health and wellness. It's not just mental health. It's all interconnected. So I appreciate you mentioning that. And I'm curious, what brought you to this awareness? How did you get to the point where you were so clear about this vision of the whole being?
It started for me 25 years ago at North Carolina Central University. That's the school I went to. I always like to say that's when I was presented the blue pill and the red pill in the Matrix. And we know that what happened in the Matrix, for those that have seen it. You know, one of them put you into a reality of truth that was a hard truth, and the other one kept you in ignorance is bliss. And I chose the blue pill in order to wake up myself and to realize that there were so many things that I was putting into my body that didn't coincide with my health. It didn't coincide with my DNA makeup code. And once I figured that out and started removing dairy products that was causing me to have eczema issues, allergies, nosebleeds, headaches, certain animal products that was doing the same thing, as I started removing those things out of my system, I was able to think more clearly. I had more energy.
Yes.
And I like to call it the Alice in Wonderland hole, where I went down the Alice in Wonderland hole to find out more. And it came through a good friend of mine who we were on our way to Chicken Wednesdays at North Carolina Central University, where on Wednesdays they serve all chicken. And he told me that he didn't eat meat. And so when we went there, he got all the fruits and vegetables. I got my chicken. We sat down and talked. He presented a lot of truth to me. And, I always say truth is verifiable. And so as he presented that truth to me, when we left, I went back to my room, my dorm, and I started to go down that Alice in Wonderland hole, and it woke me up into who I am today.
Mm, mm. I want to capitalize on something you said because I think it's powerful and it resonates with me because I myself, when I started to notice my body's reaction to foods, I started to notice the signs.
Okay.
Because there were probably signs that I had ignored for many years, whether it be, like you said, eczema, so you have some sort of a physical manifestation of something letting you know that there's an incongruence between your body's desire for health and wholeness and wellness and what you're putting in it.
Yes.
And so I noticed certain, let's say, symptoms or sensations that came up that were not pleasant. And so I started to notice, okay, when do these signs and symptoms show up? And it sounds like you started noticing the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
And from there, you started to take the cues to pay more attention. So say more about this shift from a meat-based diet to a plant-based diet, and what have you noticed in your body since the transition?
Well, I'll go back to the physical ailments that they sometimes say run in your families, but it's not necessarily that it runs in your family. You may have the gene, but you don't have to activate the gene. And the gene can be activated through what I call the SAD diet, the Standard American Diet. And it activates things in the bodies that cause these ailments. So my paradigm shift when it started happening was when I started to wake up and I started seeing eczema leaving. It was a book I read called Milk the Deadly Substance, and I can't think of the doctor's name who wrote it, but I read that book and I was like, man, I didn't know this is why I was getting earaches and allergies. I used to have the worst allergies in the world. Now I can walk out in pollen every day and never have a problem with that. So that was one of the major things that started to happen for us, and my mental clarity, my energy. But I can say now at 45 years old that I can still do what I did at 20 years old, but feel way better, way better. Being an athlete throughout my life, if I had known that they would take us to Golden Corral and eat all this heavy food, if I had known that all I needed was 2 bananas and I would have all the energy in the world, just 2 bananas that come out the earth, I would have been much better off as even an athlete. So it just started to make more sense. And now at 45 years old, to know that I can still do what I did at 20 years old, that was the biggest paradigm shift that happened in my life throughout the course. Yes.
So you have this transformation, you have this revelation, and I'm wondering, in addition to you changing your diet, which then changed your life, how has that led to what you do and how you show up in the world and how you give back to the community? Tell us about that.
Yes. Once I knew that I was going to be an example, because I was known as being crazy for giving up meat at that time in the community, and once it became a passion for me and my purpose, I knew what my purpose was. I stayed the course. And from then, I moved to Africa, as we spoke about when we met. I moved to Africa from 2006 to 2017. So in the African-American community, it's unheard of to really go back to Africa. Nobody wanted to go back to Africa, especially at that time because of what they show us on TV. So I became the eyes for my community in Africa to show people another way. And so it became a thing where that's what social media opened up for me to be able to have a platform to do what I do. Working out, showing people to be an example of a healthy African-American male that works out on a regular, to be consistent, eating the correct way, being that example. So when I came back in 2017, I had 3 vegan potlucks that I did in my community to show people what I was doing in the community and where I was wanting to launch things off to. So when I did the vegan potlucks, also I was growing as a vegan personality. So then I'm great friends with Tabitha Brown. So
Okay.
me and my sister, we brought Tabitha Brown here in 2019 for an event that Veltri and them did, and we were the host. Me and my sister was the host. So, but my event fell through. I was going to do an event to bring Tabitha Brown under vegan love culture that fell through. We ended up bringing her for Veltrees, but everybody thought the event was actually my event. And so
Mm-hmm.
they would go up to Tabitha, hey, Morathi did such a great job of the event, Morathi and his sister. And so Tabitha came up to me and my sister, was like, hey, y'all might want to think about doing your own event because everybody think this is your event, Morathi. So when we dropped her back off at the airport, she said it again. She said, if you create the event, people will come.
Mm.
So when we got back home, me and my sister formulated Vegan Vibe Music Series. And it's an event that we've been doing for 5 years where we bring the community together, all walks of life. We give them live music, different genres of music, jazz,
Mm.
Caribbean, old school hip hop, old school R&B, house and go-go, and so on for 7 Sundays throughout the series,
Wow.
throughout the summer. And we bring in the best vegan food trucks and vegan vendors from North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta. And we also bring in, it's a big vendor event. Long as there's
Okay.
no type of animal products, anything out there, they're able to come and vend. And we created a family-oriented event where you can bring your pets, a safe event. We have security. We've never had any type of violence to break out, and that's what we do to give back. And that's what formulated out of me changing my lifestyle. I became a public figure for the vegan lifestyle for my community, internationally and nationally.
That is an incredible, incredible story.
Yes.
Wow. I'm reminded of the movie Field of Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
If you build it, they will come.
That's right.
And it sounds like you were given that message to build this thing that was in alignment with your purpose,
Yes.
and people showed up.
Yes.
For the listeners out there who don't know who Tabitha is,
Mm-hmm.
could you give us a brief description of how she's connected to this work you're doing, and where people can find her? Where is she located?
Yes, Tabitha Brown is, now they call her America's mom, and she's from Edenton, North Carolina, and she was having problems physically, having blackouts, anxiety problems, depression problems, and so she went to her husband and said, you know what? I've been reading on the vegan lifestyle, and I've learned that if you change certain things in your diet, you can start feeling better. So I'm going to give this a try for 30 days to see what happens. She said by the time she got halfway through, her blackouts stopped happening. So then she kept going, and so she did a live on the vegan BLT sandwich out of Whole Foods. It went viral,
Okay.
and she's here today.
Mm.
4 years, and I always tell Tabitha, you were chosen for this. God chose you to do this. So I'll credit Tabitha for helping more African American women and women in general to learn more about the vegan plant-based lifestyle to get more healthier, because so many could identify with the same thing she was going through. And so we formed a connection back in 2018, and we've been great ever since. She supports what we do. She sends her spiritual brother Nick Few to the event. She's never been yet, but she wants to come. But we support each other wholeheartedly.
And I would imagine, I feel confident in saying that you've had as much of an impact on other people's lives because of what you're doing. And that's what I love about this work is Men's Sacred Liberation, the retreats that we host, and the show is about bringing awareness to what men in our community in Charlotte are doing and how they are living in alignment with their truth. And when you do that, you draw people to you because they feel that essence of someone who's living in their true purpose.
Yes.
And people are drawn to that. So listeners today who are feeling the vibe of your message, they can get your information at the end of the show, because I get excited knowing that so many connections are being made between the guests on the show and people who are listening. It just lights me up that there's these connections being made. So I assure you that people will be reaching out, because I was moved by your story when you first shared it with me.
Yes.
And I'm so drawn to people who are taking those steps to notice with awareness how they are out of alignment, whether it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of the above, and taking those action steps to get closer to being in alignment. Because as you get closer to that, as you know, it's powerful.
It's very, very powerful. We spoke about, and I'll share this with the audience. Actually, in November 2021, I was on my way. Well, I made it up to see Tabitha for her first book signing. And so I was like, let me surprise her. So I went up there and had a chance to see her. And on my way back, during that time period, I had 3 cups of wine, and I hadn't had anything to eat. So that's a no-go for vegans. So, so I'm on my ride back.
You were a little tipsy.
Yeah, a little tipsy. So I'm on my ride back, and there's an emergency vehicle coming up on the left-hand side. So I punched it to get out the way, and when I did, passed the state trooper. Yep. And I passed that state trooper, and he pulled me over, and the rest was history. I blew a .9, and but he was cool with me. He let me sit in the front seat. He was like, "Mr. Howie, I'm gonna go as slow as I can possible. Just get you down to a .7. I'll let you walk." I couldn't get it down to a .7, so he had to book me. Now, he didn't arrest me, he didn't put me into the cell or anything. He just ran my fingerprints, took my picture, and let me go. So that was the biggest blessing in disguise, that DWI that I got. So in July 27th of 2022, I was then had to be presented in the courts. So they gave me unsupervised probation for 12 months. They gave me driving privilege from 8 to 11, 24 hours community service, 16-hour assessment classes, and fines. When I walked out of that courtroom, the Creator gave me both of my paths. And the Creator spoke to me, my higher self said, "Okay, Morathi, you got 2 paths. If you go right, it's going to be very destructive. You wasn't put in the newspaper this time, but you're going to get put in the newspaper. Everything's going to be taken away. You have 2 boys that you take care of. Your vegan public image is going to be tarnished. It's going to be destructive. Or you go left, and I can show you what I can do for you." That day, cold turkey, I gave up drinking. Never picked up another bottle. So I'm 300 in about 5 days alcohol free since then. One of the best decisions that I can make. So just speaking to anybody that has a vice in their life, do your best to get rid of that vice and see how much more clearer you get in your mind to be able to even focus and find out what your purpose is.
That's so powerful. And I know that the men that have shared on the show and have come to the men's liberation retreats oftentimes are there because of one of these moments in life. Call it what you want, a watershed moment, a breaking point moment, the fork in the road, that activating event, that rock bottom moment for some where you realize, wow, I've got to make a choice, and I can go down this road or this road, and I've already been down this one road, let's say, and I need to make a change.
That's right.
And what is so important to emphasize about the work in Charlotte that we're doing is we need support. We need support as we continue to change our lives for the better, to come into alignment. And I love that men will now know more than they did an hour ago, even though they can listen to this whenever, that you're available to share and to connect with them because they might be feeling alone.
Yes.
And they are experiencing something similar to you, because a lot of people out there have had a DUI before.
Yes.
Sometimes multiple DUIs.
That's right.
And it can be a devastating experience. And there's light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right.
When you get to the other side.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that part of your story. That was very vulnerable. I appreciate you sharing that.
No problem.
So here we are to this moment where I'm sitting next to what appears to be some products.
Yes.
And I also know that you have the Vegan Vibe series.
Yes.
That you're pouring a lot of your efforts into.
Yeah.
So tell the listeners about the products we have here, and also a bit more about Vegan Vibes and how they can get involved.
Okay. I am a co-founder and COO of Kikoboni CMOS. Kikoboni CMOS is organic. It means Swahili. It's organic in Swahili. And so shout out to my business partner, Clinton Douglas. We met, we're both from Concord, but he moved to Jersey, a little bit older than me. I knew his younger brother. And we connected out of Vegan Vibes, and he was like, Morathi, hey man, let's do something together. I like your energy, and I think that we can do some positive things together. So we came up with Kikoboni CMOS, and we're one of the most popular brand in Charlotte. And we provide raw CMOS that you can make on your own. We do the CMOS gel, purple and gold, and we have gummies. These are the apple cider vinegar, bladderwrack, and burdock root gummies. And we have the elderberry with burdock root and bladderwrack in it as well. And these gummies are, and we have capsules. They're amazing. These gummies remind you of what you used to eat when you were smaller. You have to hide them from yourself. That's how good they are. So
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Too many vitamin gummies.
That's right. That's right. So we're expanding exponentially. We're in Oh My Soul. You can find us at Queen City Grounds in 644 North Church Street. We're in Charlotte's Vitamin and Health off of Arboretum and the one in Indian Land. And we have others people that buy wholesale from us that we deal with, and we're online at Kikoboni.com.
Okay.
And so yes, that's our CMOS company. We're excited about it and to continue to keep it expanding. Vegan Vibe Music Series is these are our dates. We have May 21st. We've already done jazz. We have June 4th, Caribbean, coming up this Sunday. We have Afro Beats on June 18th, Collective Soul on July 9th, July 23rd, House and Go-Go, August 6th, Old School Hip Hop, where
Yes.
you guys will be coming over to take over.
We will be there. Men's Liberation will be there to spread the good news.
That's right.
About the work. Yes.
That's right. We're gonna be happy to have you.
Yes.
And the last one is Old School R&B, and this will all take place at No Doubt Brewing Company in Charlotte, West 32nd Street, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. And do we just show up? Do we need a ticket for that event?
You can just show up. You just show up, and there's plenty of parking in the back. And we'll have everything laid out because we want to keep up with all of our traffic and things like that. And come in, bring your lawn chairs because the live music is amazing.
Okay.
And it's just such a great event. And you bring your dogs, and like I say, bring your wallets to support, man. It's an amazing event.
Vendors?
Yes, vendors, plenty of vendors. Shout out to No Doubt Brewing, man, for what they represent, the type of diversity that they represent at their brewery. It's a great brewery, and we were in Concord for 3 years at Cabarrus Brewing Company. Shout out to Stacy and Steve and what they did for us for so long. And then people requested us to come back to Charlotte. They wanted it back in Charlotte because we hadn't been back since 2019 at Heist Brewery Barrel and Arts off of Graham Street. That's where we first started. So we're back in Charlotte, very happy. The market and the amount of vegans that you have in Charlotte is just so much more bigger. We did it in Concord because that's where we're from, and we wanted to give back to our community and just show our community again what the vegan lifestyle represents. And so we were happy to do it there for 3 years. We will still do events at Cabarrus Brewing, like for Bubba Wallace. We're going to be giving him the proclamation, Bubba Wallace Day in Concord. So we'll do certain things at the brewery, but everything will start taking place at No Doubt Brewery and other places in Charlotte in the future.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible work.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your passion with Charlotte. It's so exciting to know you and to know that people are taking steps every day to be more and more in alignment with their purpose in life, which it sounds like this work is most definitely part of your true purpose on this planet.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes. I could, if a lot of people don't know their purpose, we have so many people that wanderously walk around. They have so many talents and gifts, but they don't actually horn into them, whether it's everyday life or certain things that happen in life. But life happens, right. And kudos to you, kudos to people like us that have taken that chance and honed into the unknown, because the unknown is such an uncomfortable place, but that's where your blessings lie. And when you go into the unknown, it teaches you so much more about yourself, and you're like, okay, you can either sit back in comfortability where you don't find out anything about yourself, or push yourself to the limit. I'm a big listener of Les Brown, and Les Brown always speaks about that. And One thing that he said, I'd rather live with pain, loss, getting doors shut in my face, so many no's, instead of living in the face of regret. And
Mm.
so, I'll never live in the face of regret. The unknown is my playground.
Mm. The unknown is my playground.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
That, oh, I have chills running down my spine. That hit me. I feel that. I feel that in you. I know that has where I've grown in the last several years, especially, and I know for so many others, they're either journeying through that sticky spot of the unknown and the unfamiliar and the uncomfortable. And there's also listeners out there who are right there. They're right there at the edge of the comfort zone, stepping into the I call it the stretch zone,
Yes.
where their comfort is getting stretched more into what would feel like the uncomfortable zone. And I love that now the world knows you in a way they didn't before the show, and that you are a testament to what happens when you step into that unknown zone.
Yeah.
It's beautiful magic happens, and I'm
Yeah.
so honored that you did that, because so many people are benefiting from the fruits of this work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I know we've talked a little bit about you joining at Men's Sacred Liberation at one of the retreats coming up here in the near future.
Can't wait.
For all the listeners who are planning to come to the upcoming retreat, July 8th is the next one, and look forward to having you at that one, if not one in the near future. So I'm so excited to partner more with you moving forward, and it's an honor to have had you on the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do you mind if I read an excerpt in this book that I would like to read out to people? It's a health and wellness book that I I look at as being my Bible. This is called Shifting Your Paradigm for Optimum Health and Longevity, Model for African Americans Mastering the Inner Forces by Ushaka Craig, PhD. And this is it's a preface, and it's so profound. It hit me, and I read it to my community because I know of the plight that we've gone through. And you remember we spoke about Ezra that came on, and you spoke about him speaking about those plights that African Americans and African American men deal with in America.
Mm-hmm.
And so this goes, as African Americans, our experiences, beliefs, and values have been shaped and molded from our historical past. It was a past that included enslavement, emancipation, discrimination, and the struggle for civil rights and other social issues. It was a past that kept us engaged in a continuous struggle. However, as it relates to the reality of our health, we find ourselves leading the National Health Index of heart disease, cancer, strokes, diabetes, kidney and liver disorder, respiratory, and autoimmune diseases. Why are we leading the National Health Index? Simply, it involves the food that we put into our body. The foods that we love are the same foods that contribute to our ill health. Therefore, we need to understand the dynamics of nutrition and begin to change our thinking and behavior as it pertains to the food we eat. We need education more than medication. And this is something that I always read periodically when I go live on social media, to give our people understanding that as we went through our struggles and as we came out of those struggles, we didn't pay attention to the dynamics of what health and wellness is, holistic health. And we have to get back to that, because our elders actually were teaching us that through shucking corn and plucking peas at our grandmother's feet. They were teaching us the way to eat, and we strayed away from it. And so my biggest thing is to get my people to grasp again what to put on their plates. This doesn't mean that you become vegan or plant-based overnight. You may never become vegan or plant-based, but you got to get back to eating from the earth. We have to give up these fake foods and get back to eating natural foods again.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're so welcome.
What a beautiful way to end the show. Thank you for being here and for reading that, and look forward to having you on the show again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to get in here and ask you some more questions about what you do, man, because I love what you do. so many times we saw each other and we had short conversations, but we had a great conversation a few days ago.
We did.
And you're my brother.
Yes.
You're my brother. I'm here for you.
Same.
All right.
Thank you, Morathi.
You're welcome, man.
That's a wrap on another show of Men's Sacred Liberation with Morathi Howie. We'll have your information at the end here. So if you're interested in connecting more with him or learning more about Vegan Vibes, we'll have all the information on that and the CMOS at the end of the show for you to reach out to him and connect. And we will see you again for another episode of Men's Sacred Liberation.